So in this lecture, we are going to study about object-oriented programming. So this is a very important programming concept or very important style of programming with which we can provide lot of security to their program, and you can improve the approach of writing a program. Okay, so we follow some important principles in this programming. Like in C programming, if suppose you are writing a program for sorting a given array elements, the same program can be modified by applying these concepts of object-oriented programming. So the aim of this programming is to implement real-world entities, okay, in programming. So there are a lot of benefits of this OOPS concepts. One way is to hide the required or show the user only the input and output, hide the implementation logic. Okay, that's one very important thing which we try to achieve, or we would say we are trying to secure the data or secure the code, exposing only the required features to the user and not showing the complete implementation details to the user. That is one. Other way, it has lot of advanced features, kind of smart programming, where we can use, like for example, polymorphism. Same function name can be used for multiple other uses. Okay, instead of creating, suppose you are writing a program with 4 arithmetic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of 2 numbers, for example. Okay, so the same, instead of creating 4 different functions, you can create same function name add, single function name add. You can achieve all these 4 operations with a single function name. In C, if you declare two functions same name, it will throw error, but here it is possible. Okay, so the very important exam point of view or interview point of view, what are the basic building blocks of OOPS? So these are the 8 basic building blocks of object oriented programming, right? So what are those? We have class, object, encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, dynamic binding, and message passing. 8 important principles, everybody have to know this. So today we will begin by learning about these 2 things. How do we create a class? What is a class? How do we create a class? What is an object? How do we create an object? And how we start writing C++ programming using the concept of object orientation. Right. So what is a class? Okay, very important. Among all those 8 building blocks, the most important building block is class. With the introduction of this class, the life has come to object oriented programming. Okay, so I will talk little about the structure or union. Structure or union, what you have studied in C++. In structure and union, when you declare a structure, you define only the variables. You write something like this. You write struct student and open, you give int roll number, and you can give char ch of 30, something like this. Okay, this is a data structure where you try to give only the variables. Okay, you give only the, whether it is structure or union, both same. You declare only the variables. The advantage here is, in array, we say that array is a collection of elements of same data type, whereas structure union is a collection of elements of different data type. Class is a data structure. Class is a collection of elements of different data types and functions which access those data types or variables. Okay, class is nothing but it's an advanced version or extended version of structure union, where along with the variables we add functions. We add functions in the class. Okay, like if you remember, for this structure, if I create a variable s1 and s2, and if I write s1 dot, no, we give s1 dot roll number equal to 30. We give s2 dot roll number equal to some 32. If we give something like this, so s1 is a structure variable. We use dot operator to access the member variable. This roll number is a variable of this structure student. To access that, I'm using the object or the variable using dot operator. Same concept is used here. Okay, I think you are aware of concept of structures that you might have studied in C programming, structures and unions. So in structure, we give only variables, whereas in class, we give variables as well as the functions in that. Okay, let's try to understand about structure, this class, right? So it's a user defined data type like structure, which holds its own data members and member functions. The variables inside a class are called as data members. Okay, and the functions are called as member functions. Okay, sometimes they also called as member variables, member functions. So same like this struct, I will be using class name, some class name I will be giving here. I will open bracket and close bracket. Here I will be declaring some variables, int roll number, and I will write a function print something like this. I gave a function print. So this is a class. See, like struct keyword, we have class keyword and the class name. You declare the variables and the functions. So this roll number is called member variable and this print is called member functions. Okay, member variable, member functions. So from here onwards, we'll be saying, though it is a function, we will call it as member function, and this as data member or member variable. Now let's try to understand a little more about class. Okay, class is like a blueprint for an object. Example, let the cars be the class. Let it be a class. Okay, let it be a category. Cars is one category of vehicles. Okay, now there can be different cars with different brands, right? There can be BMW, Audi, and lot other different cars, right? But they have some common properties like four wheels, speed limit, mileage range, etc. Every car has some common properties, right? So here the car is the class and the wheel, speed limit, mileage are their properties. Indirectly they are the variable names. So in a class, if I have those three variable names, every of the other class, the object here, BMW, Audi, or any Tata, all these will have those three variables. Okay, so car is a class, right? Under that class, we have multiple different types, but the common thing, all of them share common properties. That's why we can say that a class in C++ is a blueprint representing a group of objects which shares common properties and behaviors. Okay, common properties and behavior. The very important point here is in struct. When you use struct student in structure or union, and when you declare two variables, unless until you create the structure variables, memory will not be allocated for these variables. You have to create variables, only then memory will be allocated. Same way, when you declare a class, unless until you create an object, memory will not be allocated to the class. Okay, you have to create an object. Once an object is created and initialized, only then the memory will be allocated for the class. Let's see the syntax and example, right? So see the syntax here, the keyword class and some class name. Access specifier, I'll talk about this access specifier. I'll come to this point. Then body of the class and close. So we can give like this, class name, open. Some access specifier we have to give. For example, I'll give now public. I'll talk about that. Public int a comma b comma c, and then I can give here again public. Again, we need not write. Once you write it public, you can declare here add c. This is also not required. You can give here int add like this. You can give a class like this. See, you are giving a access specifier, then you are declaring member variables and member functions. This is the syntax of class. If you see here the example, this is the example of class. This class is the class name, public int variable, void print. Inside that I'm writing the logic there. See out hello and closing it. You can write this logic inside the class or outside the class also, not a problem. Like in C programming, no, you write main, in that you write some statements and then you write function and put semicolon. You define the function outside like this, or you can define the function inside also, right? Same way here also. So when you write a function, member function, we write the logic within using this flower brackets inside the class also. Okay, this is about class. Now let's see about object. So object is an instance of class. Object is an instance of class. When a class is defined, I told you, no, when a class is defined, memory is not allocated, and only memory is allocated only when you create an object, then memory is allocated. So how do you create an object? What is the syntax for that? You have to give class name space object name. You have to give class name space. What you do in structure there, in struct you write, for example, there is a structure student with some variables here, and you are not declaring anything here. You go to main. After going main, you can give this, right? You can give struct student and s1. You can create an object or a variable for this structure inside main, right? Same way, same rule is applicable here in C++. Okay, so always compare it to the structure or union. Class is an extension of structure or union. In class, we give the member variables, along with them we also give the functions. Okay, so the syntax is class name object name, right? And the data members or the member functions, anything whatever you declare in class, you have to if you want to access them, you have to use dot operator, like you have done in structure or union, right? You will write sc1 dot a equal to 10. You do this already, you have done already this you already done in structure, right? c1 dot a equal to 10, c1 dot maybe strcpy, copy c1 dot name and comma, I will give some Arun, like this. So we are trying to copy this into this. We have already done this before, right? So that way you have to use dot operator to access the member variables and member functions. Okay, right. So for example, if you have an object obj and you want to access the function print name, you have to write it like this. Let's see an example and understand it much clear. See an example of class and object. IOStream, string.h, namespace std. See, I have created a class here. Okay, class person. I have used the access specifier public. I'll talk about that. String. I have created a variable string name. I told we have a data type string here. Then int age. Then I have a function, a void introduce. Void introduce a function. What is saying? Hi, my name is this variable name, and I am age years old. Okay, I hope you understood how we are combining this. See out. When you do the lab practical, you understand. Hi, my name is double quote, give here name. Then again write this insertion operator and give endl if you required. Again here give age is. Again you give here age. This way you can give cout in a single line. So this is the actual variable names, right? So in the main, if you see, now comes the actual game in int main. In the actual main, this is how you declare a class. Class name and class of this class name person, flower bracket, give a access specifier, then you give string name int age, then you wrote the function body here and closed it using semicolon. See this, we are closing it using semicolon. Int main. Now for this class person, I am creating an object person1. Okay, same like in structure, you have to write the name of the class and give the object name as p1 or person1. Then to access the name, you can give p1 dot name equal to some alias is given here, and p1 dot age equal to 30. Now call the function p1 dot introduce. P1 dot this function introduce. That's it. What will happen when I call this function p1 dot introduced? What does p1 includes? See, p1 is an object. P1 is an object. It is an object. To which class? To this class person. And how many variables are there? Name and age. So it will hold those values here. it will hold Alice in it, it will hold 30 in it. Alice and 30, it will hold in this object P1. So when you call the same, when you call a function introduced using the same object P1, whichever variables are used here, name and age, these values will be assigned. So the output will be my name is Alice and I am 30 years old. Okay, so that way you can declare it. I hope it is clear. Is it clear about object and class and object? It is same as your structure. You give class, class name, then I will talk about the access specifier, public, private, protected. I will talk about that. We have three things there: public, private, and protected. Then we have we can give the variable names, we can give the function names, and go back to the main, create the object for that class. Using that object, you just keep using those variables and functions. Okay, right. So yeah, let's see what is this access specifier. Why am I talking about public, private? What is this actually? That this is the most important concept here: access modifiers or access specifiers. Okay, access modifiers or access specifiers. So in C++, see, let's come here. I will explain this with this example alone. What we have seen here: class person, then I gave public. I gave public. So there are three types of access specifiers: public, private, and protected, like this. So when you create a class, for example, class student, okay, inside this I will write here public colon int roll number. This is not a problem. I can have roll number publicly available. Nobody can do nothing with that. I will have then private. I will put here int age. Age we don't want to disclose, so we can make that variable as private variable. Okay, then you want something very secret, then you can give maybe something about marks, int marks. Like this, you can create functions also. Like this, you are giving privacy to the variables. Okay, you are giving privacy to the variables, right? When you give public, everybody can access those variables. I will talk that who are those everybody means how. I will give example. When you give private, it is kind of private. Protected is too serious. It is too stricter compared to public and private. Okay, what is its significance? See, when you this is done, class is created. This class student is created. Very good, with three different variables and three different access specifiers or access modifiers. Now, when I go to main, and if I create a object there, what is the class name? Student. So I will create here student. I'll create an object S1. Okay, when I create an object S1, okay, and this S1 can access, only the variables which are publicly available. Okay, this S1, no, this S1 can be, this S1 can access all these variables. This S1 can access all these three variables. But if I am creating another class, maybe class employee, I am creating class employee. Okay, in this also I am using some functions. I have created some function here. That function name is maybe calculate. Some function I have calculate. Now this class is different. This is student class. This is employee class. Okay. Now for student class, S1 is the object. For employee class, E1 is the object. This E1 object cannot access these variables. This E1 object which belongs to employee class cannot access age and marks because they are private and protected. E1 can access only public. But the variables which are declared as private and protected cannot be accessed by objects of other classes. Okay, I hope I gave the idea, right? When why we are having that? To create, to provide, to have security. To have security, we are having that public and private protected. We will see different examples to understand them better. What will happen when you write public? What will happen when you write this? What we say, protected or private? Okay. So we have uh, three access specifiers, right? First one is public. Members declared as public can be accessed from outside the class. Any other class object can access public variables or public functions. Okay. Next, private. Members declared as private can only be accessed within the class itself. They can be accessed only inside the class, but not outside the class. Protected. Members declared as protected can be accessed within the class and by derived classes. There is something called derived classes. When we study about inheritance, we will come to know about those derived classes. Okay, so these are the three different public or access specifiers which we keep giving it here. Okay, so when you write public, since I wrote public outside main here, I am able to access the name variable, age variable, because I wrote it public here. If you give private, other functions or other objects cannot access this private variables. Okay, that difference very clearly we will see. But the most important question, Viva question or interview question asked from C++ is, what if I don't mention anything here? What if I don't give this and I write a program like we do in structure? What will happen? By default, these variables and these functions will be private. Okay, these variables and these functions will be considered as private member, private. Okay, if you do not specify, the default one is private, not public. Remember that in C++. Even if you miss that, your variables are safe and secure. They are private. Okay, so this is about class, object and access specifiers, right? So I hope you got a little idea about, just quickly revise before we go forward, because it is good we keep revising it. So we have seen about OOPS. So these are the 8 important building blocks of object-oriented programming. And then we have studied about class. Class is like a blueprint which will for an object. Okay, so we have seen the example of car. Memory is not allocated unless until you create the object. And we have seen an example how to create class name, and the access specifier. We can give the body, like we can create variables and functions here. Then we have studied about object. Object is an instance of class. Okay, so if no memory is allocated, one class is defined. Only when object is created, memory is allocated. We have seen this example, and ignoring this public access specifier, rest all is very clear. We have seen there are 3 access specifiers or access modifiers. 3 access specifiers or access modifiers. So public, private and protected. Members declared as public can be accessed outside the class, inside main or somewhere else. Members declared as private can be accessed only within the class, and members which are given as protected, they can be given to within the class and by derived classes. Some classes we derive actually, we will see. So by default, if nothing is mentioned, the default access specifier will be private. Remember this is an important point.